and welcome each and every one of you today. Taking a moment to share to our Viral Political Machine page on Facebook, and we'll get started at the news, just breaking news that the impeachment inquiry and process is going to a vote finally. Let's go into the screen and see the article itself. We're using the Washington Post. Washington Post politics, Trump impeachment inquiry, live updates. And this is just out just a few moments ago, I believe, 4:23 p.m. This is now 4:36 where I'm broadcasting this at this moment. And what we have here is that the House Democrats said Monday that the House will vote Thursday to formalize. So, again, when you're reading, you need to, like when I teach people all the time on Sundays and on our Shabbat classes, that you have to stop and ask questions uh, or take what is said and flip it so that you can have understanding. If you don't do it, you're not understanding. So simply, House Democrats said Monday that the House will vote Thursday to formalize procedures. So it means that there was no formal proceeding and formal procedures before. Okay? So again, this is why they called it an impeachment inquiry, because they were simply trying to figure things out. And again, this is, if you don't read and stop and reflect, you won't understand what's really happening in your government and how certain groups are trying to manipulate how you think and feel and eventually opine amongst yourselves, with family, and with friends on Facebook and other places, social media, and in your groupings. You begin to form this similar group thing, as I explained very in depth, somewhat degree, in my Sunday teachings, which you should look at. If you have Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, TSPCI Bible Studies, that's the channel. You download that into your Roku device or Amazon Fire TV device and start watching. And also you'll find us on YouTube, TSPCI, and look for the latest of the teachings. This Sunday, we'll also be continuing. It'll be part 3, actually, of a very particular thing that God talks about. He's talking about these type of things actually in Scripture. It's not purposeful political teaching using the Bible. It actually was part of our systematic chapter by chapter series that we have been working on for the last 3-4 years, whatever, how long. We just started from Genesis 1 and we're just moving along, and we're just now in Exodus 23, and just simply, it's just the shoe fits, it's just simply a direct teaching applicative for what's happening today. Now, so the House will vote Thursday to formalize procedures for the next phase of the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. So anyone would say, you see, but it's for the next phase. Doesn't mean that this phase didn't have any. But wait. Democrats said the move would, quote, ensure transparency and provide a clear path forward as the inquiry continues. So It means that there wasn't transparency before. It means, because that's the emphasis, you see. It's not that they had formal procedures before. It's not evident in what the Democrats said. The Democrats said to ensure transparency and provide a clear path forward. So there was no clear path forward before. Now is to ensure transparency, because they didn't have transparency before, and provide a clear path forward, because they didn't have that before. There was no clear path. What was happening is that up to this time, the Democrats were holding secretive inquiries into how are we going to impeach Trump. Basically, that is what has been going on. House Democrats, quoting, now suddenly saying they'll vote on an impeachment resolution to, quote, ensure transparency is rich, considering they've spent weeks conducting interviews in secret, leaking their own talking points while locking down any and all information that benefits the president, he said. And this is talks about Representative Mark Meadows, Republican from North Carolina, commenting on what has been going on in this Trump impeachment inquiry. Okay, so this is again what the Democrats are saying is, obviously the Representative Meadows caught on to this tactic that's being used. I don't know. It's, you see, if you don't separate your own bias and look at things for the truth of the matter, you're just compromised. I'm sorry to say that you don't have credibility for yourself. You have no basis for credibility in your own life. I can't it's like I was saying on Sunday, how can you call yourself a child of God but yet be raising up false testimony, false, and raising up means to support it. So it's not just that you do it, it's that you're helping others do it and participating with the massive people, with the many people, as the scripture says, Exodus 23. I don't want to turn this into a biblical teaching, but I already did that Sunday, so watch that. So, participating, following the group thing, as I see many Christians doing, this is appalling. Again, a Christian, a child of God, should not be part of the group, raising innuendo and not knowing and saying impeachment when there is no impeachment. It's only an impeachment inquiry. That's exactly what this is. And then, don't you have any sensibility of what is lawful and what is right, at least, even if it's lawful? Is it right to be hounding a person so long and so much, trying to trip them up? Is that a right thing to do? I mean, what is this about? It's about something even recent. It's not, what happened to the Mueller thing? It's gone, right? The Mueller thing, hey, listen, yeah, investigate. Is there Russian collusion? Nothing came out of it. But now, all these years, as Trump has been trying to run his government as a president, I would say this about any president. Why are you hunting and hunting down the president and being a stumbling block. I mean, what does the Bible talk? If you're a Christian, if you're a child of God, what does the Bible talk about being a stumbling block to other people, making other people fall, making other people, pressuring them until. How would you like somebody to be on your case, pressuring you every day of your life, and pestering you and not leaving you alone? How would you be able to perform a job if you even have a job? There was somebody always breathing down your back, always worrying everything. What you saying? What you saying there? Be careful of that. Cross your T's, dot your I's, and just constantly being. What would you call that? Because realize, what would you call a person? What names would you call somebody who does that to you? Well, then realize that when you're participating in this, what Trump called a witch hunt, that's what you're doing. Think about that. Be honest. At least be honest with yourself. I'm not here to defend Trump as a person. I'm here defending the Constitution of the United States and the office of the president. This is my country. I don't know what it is for you, but this is my country. Men and women shed their blood. I didn't shed my blood for this country, but I don't step on the blood and the lives of others who have. And simply respect the office of the president, respect the Constitution. That is what belongs. That's what makes this country what it is. And if the country is not according to your liking, then you know what? You need to find another. Because this is what it is here. You want to change it? Changing it is not an option. The only way you can change it is what you're trying to do. Either you know it or you don't know it, which is causing the country to collapse. And if that's what you're trying to do, then at least admit it. Because we know what you're trying to do. You're trying to collapse the country. This has nothing to do with Trump. It's not about taking Trump out of office. See how all you guys think this is about Trump? It's not about Trump. It's about destroying the United States of America. Who is colluding with who? At least have the decency to respect the office of the presidency. Stop the silliness, the whining. Get on a political campaign against Trump and do your darndest. But don't cry come election day. And after crying on election day, which is okay to cry, get on with your life. Move on. And leave the country intact. Leave the country the way it's supposed to be. United States of America, the Constitution, the flag, leave us alone. Simple as that. Again, the political games, I won't repeat what I did in the previous video. I already talked about the game that's at hand. But up to now, you know that when the Democrats can, they would be on TV with their show so that everyone can hear what Trump did and what Trump said. But so far, this impeachment inquiry has been done in secret, right? You haven't heard anything unless only what, as Representative Meadows said, only what Adam Schiff wants to feed you with. Nothing else. I mean, if Adam Schiff, think about this, if Adam Schiff can come out after a meeting of the impeachment inquiry group and can come out and say certain things and leak certain things to the media, why isn't it okay for invite the media in? See that? Right off the bat, you should say, somebody's hiding something. It isn't Trump. This is Adam Schiff. That's his game. This is his committee. Somebody's hiding something. Somebody's trying to prevent some information from going out direct to the public. That's all this is. They're not trying to protect Trump. They're not trying to protect Trump. They're just trying to eliminate any possible positive news, another viewpoint, other possibilities of going out there, interrupting and interfering with their narrative of a dishonest or a some type of nefarious activity on the part of President Trump. That's all there is. That's it. Now they want to have after the Republicans. Now what happened? What did the Republicans do just a few days ago? They went in and sat in and shift on that meeting. They invaded the room and made those proceedings stop, because of course Schiff would not continue having the inquiry while other senators, they're duly elected, right? So he didn't even want the duly elected representatives of government in on the meeting. And now, after that, and after what's his name, Graham, and others have raised formal complaints, even against Nancy Pelosi. So she got to get moving. She got to do something. Now we have the call to have a vote so that there can be then a what do you call it, a transparency moving forward. Okay, so that is what's going on, and of course they've already made their plan to continue their secretive planning behind closed doors. That's going to continue. He took advantage of doing all he could. How many weeks has this been, by the way? Let's see. Let's see Representative Meadows say here. He says here, he spent weeks. So they spent weeks in interviewing and doing their dirty work, because you're doing it in hiding. What is that? It's not saintly work. It's not in the open air work. It is evil in character. The secrecy is evil in character. They're holding secretive talks against the president, against the head of government. That's evil in appearance, at least the way it looks. It doesn't look right. Okay? So this is like straightforward here. They're having secretive talks. You can say whatever you want. That is to protect the whistleblower and all that. The transcripts are out. What does it, what's the protect the whistleblower? There's many ways for you to protect the whistleblower. Protect the whistleblower. But the hearings don't have to be in secret. They still be public. You don't have to show the whistleblower. We can hear his voice. You can muffle his voice. Do the whatever and cover his. I've seen other people. They show a shadow when you see the news. You've seen it. Come on, guys. You know that. You know that when you've seen documentaries, you've seen news reports. They're protecting their sources. All they show is that black figure, a figure of a person, and then you hear a voice, and sometimes the voice is changed to mask the actual voice of the person. That's it. They do it on the news all the time. But they can't. Adam Schiff didn't get that. He couldn't remember. Oh, we could do that. That's because that's the way you protect your whistleblowers. You don't think they knew who the whistleblower is in there yet? You think that they don't know who it is? They know. Okay, so this says, meanwhile, Representative Kevin Hern from Oklahoma, you can read this with me here. We'll get that screen up for you in a second. Let me just. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So you have Representative Hearn of Oklahoma took credit for the pushing the Democrats to act. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm reading the Washington Post. Someone doesn't know. I mean, they're rushing this article out. Okay, so they rushed it out. Took credit for, not the, for pushing the Democrats to act, calling the Monday announcement proof that our efforts are working. Pelosi is bringing the impeachment inquiry to the floor for a vote. Remember what I said in the last video. Bringing the what? Impeachment inquiry. We're still in the inquiry, folks. That's all we have here. It's not impeachment, it's an impeachment inquiry. And so Pelosi, that's what she agreed to. She didn't agree to impeachment. She agreed to a impeachment inquiry to the floor for a vote after several weeks of my colleagues and I demanding transparency and proprietary in the process. And proprietary and appropriateness, it should be, right? I mean, she's using it in an archaic form. And then he said on Twitter, this is a necessary step to ensure all our voices are heard. So at 3:45 p.m., Pelosi says House vote will eliminate any doubt. Eliminate any doubt, because of course before this there was doubt. She admits that what they were doing before this created doubt, left many people with doubt about whether Trump administration can withhold documents, because she's admitting that before there's a vote in the House, they had no standing to request for documents. So all that garbage the Trump administration is withholding. Even this thing of telling the former assistant to Bolton to testify today, where he refused to attend because he sued the committee also for or what he's asking for is the court to decide if he should or should not testify, because of course the Trump administration told him not to. He's not supposed to, and we're telling him not to, or they told him not to, simply on the basis that this is not a legal proceeding. The House is doing something that is not a formal impeachment process. So based on that, they have no right to impel anyone to come and testify. So, the administration is not wrong by instructing its employee not to divulge any information, not to go or answer that subpoena, because there is no legal standing. And Pelosi is admitting that much. And even in the court of law now, Pelosi is going to have the vote, because then a judge would see, so she is admitting that you see, because sometimes this is a classic example of the Democrats stepping into it. Pelosi is stepping all over Adam right now, because Adam Schiff he realizes, or he should have immediately looked at what Pelosi did as stepping on his parade, because what she is doing is that she is providing legally a stance that she, as the leader of the House, sees that she needs to have that the House needs to have a formal impeachment inquiry through a vote. That is, she admitted now by doing this that everything that's gone on before, it's really illegitimate. They can argue this in the court of law simply because now she is saying by bringing it to the vote that you needed to bring it to a vote. So it's not like she's saying that we were right already, but we're going to bring it to a vote anyway. No, no. By bringing it to a vote, she is admitting that what was going on until now and until Thursday was done without a vote, and to which she did cause a vote to be had, because then she admits by doing so, by the act, the deed, that she needs the vote, that the House needs to have this vote in order to legalize, to put force, even just simply to have more force in its subpoena requests in regards to any documents that they can have. Of course, people will tell you that Congress doesn't need to have an official anything to request documents. Fine, but requesting and getting are two different things. You gotta, when you want to get something that's not being given, then we have to go to the next step of from simple requesting, which they can always do. Anyone can request anything. But do they have a legal right to it that's legally enforceable is another matter. So that now Pelosi is eliminating that question, that doubt, as she says, explain that the reasons, I'm sorry, let's say the Pelosi vote will eliminate any doubt, Pelosi says, about whether Trump administration can withhold documents. This will remove any doubt. So she's admitting that there is room for doubting because we haven't brought it into that legal requirement where the House has voted authorizing this impeachment inquiry. And I emphasize inquiry because it's not an impeachment process. It's a pre-process. It's an inquiry. And in the previous video, we already discussed those factors there. Now, so this is it. So the move establishes the procedure, which it didn't have before, for hearings that are open to the American people. Authorizes the disclosure of deposition transcripts. Outlines procedures to transfer evidence to the Judiciary Committee as it considers potential articles of impeachment. This is the main thing here. Okay, and notice that she says potential because she has to. She cannot accuse the president. She cannot, without evidence and without any reason to declare culpability, which she couldn't do really until a lot of the impeachment process actually goes into play. She just has to say the potential articles of impeachment. Of all of this, this is the telling statement. Uh, Again, listen to how it is quoted. Pelosi said, how Pelosi quotes this very carefully. An experienced stateswoman, experienced in the things of politics and in the workings of the House. Now, look at how she words it. As the move establishes the procedure for hearings that are open to the American people, authorizes the disclosure of deposition transcripts, and outlines procedures to transfer evidence to the Judiciary Committee as it considers potential. Potential. When there are articles of impeachment, it is not potential. It either they are or they aren't. Okay? So again, the potential means that they have not come to any articles of impeachment yet. There's no determination that articles of impeachment will in fact be provided. It's just simply potential. There's a potential as it considers potential articles of impeachment. And as I said in the previous video, Um, the impeachment are only charges. It's the same thing. Anyone can get charges put against them. Anybody, you and me, someone can place charges against us. And it goes to a grand jury, and the jury has to then look at the evidence, hear the DA, district attorney, and they're the ones who say, is this enough? The only question in front of a grand jury is this. It's the only question, not is the person guilty or innocent. The grand jury does not decide that. An indictment does not mean a person is guilty. You guys got to study a little bit of law, just a little. That an indictment just means that a group of regular citizens agree with the district attorney or the prosecutor that there is enough evidence to move this question of the question, is this guy guilty or not, to bring it to a court so that other jury people can make the judgment. You see, a lot of cases don't make it to court. Why? Because the grand jury, when they see whatever evidence the prosecutor brings to them, they say, this is not real evidence, or this is not enough. I mean, people see this. If they had this, I could have I could have had been walking by this place at that time, and then I would be here sitting. I mean, that's not enough evidence. And so people have a brain. They say, no, prosecutor, I'm sorry. I know the police officer wants to put this guy behind bars. You guys think that you got a case, you want a case, you have to make it X amount of cases a year so that the DA can put it on his report and get reelected. We understand that. But this doesn't make it. You see, there's not enough evidence to take this to court. And the grand jury right there can say, no, this guy, there's not enough evidence. And the DA has to what? Throw the case out. He has nothing. The person who's indicted goes home. That's it. And a lot of you people, I'm not saying that you guys have family members in jail or whatnot. I don't, but I know that by sitting on the grand jury, so I know how the process works. A lot of people go home. Been indicted. They never got indicted, but they were held on charges that had to get processed by a grand jury before they can go to court, and they never got there because they got thrown out. So I've seen it before. So remember that the articles of impeachment are nothing but an indictment. They're charges of an indictment. Okay, it doesn't mean anything more than that, and I've never seen anyone go to court after that, and no president who went to court after that. They were indicted by the House. The House is the one doing the job of prosecutor, and the Congress is the jury at that point, the grand jury. That's the role they're playing, and all they're saying is, oh, okay, there's enough evidence. Now, what? Because the bottom line is that the president will continue, even if he is indicted or have articles of impeachment levied against him, he continues to be the president of the United States. And again, I still have to research if he gets reelected come November of next year, or those articles of impeachment have any power over another term. That we need to look into. I'm sure a lot of you know the answer to that already, but I need to find out before I start raising false reports. I don't want to do that. So I want to go into that and look at that. I believe it's not, but we'll see. Now, as it considers potential articles of impeachment and sets forth due process rights for the president and his counsel. So again, before this moment, again, you got to read stuff and you have to think. Before Thursday, everything that Schiff was doing, and I'm going to point out Schiff there, everything he was doing did not set forth or was not following any due process rights. Which a due process means that these are rights that the Constitution affords every single American citizen. And we're in a country that even gives some due process rights to people who are not even citizens of the United States. And how is it that we, as children of God, if you are, sit and feel good about our elected officials not giving due process rights to Mr. Trump, President Trump? How is it? No matter how much you hate Mr. Trump, that's not your president, or the President Trump, if that's what you allow him to be. How is it that you can feel okay about denying he's an American citizen? Can we agree? He is an American citizen. How can you deny him as an American citizen? Forget the presidency. As an American citizen, how can you sit well knowing that you're participating, or that your elected officials have participated and are until Thursday, have for several weeks participated in the denial of due process rights to an American citizen? That's the question. And that should be enough, because if this case was coming to me in the grand jury, I would knock it out. I'm not voting that this go to court. It has nothing to do with a personal liking or leanings towards the GOP or Republicans or President Trump or anything. This has to deal solely with the Constitution, with the due process. That's all I'm looking at here. It's all that anyone, Republican or Democrat, should be looking at, considering, period. No matter who it is, an American citizen, due process rights have been denied for several weeks. If you knew that a police officer was denying the right to liberty, to freedom, to a family member, or to a black person, right? You guys would be up in arms. How can that be? You're restraining him against the law, against the Constitution. You guys would be, going on the attack here. How can you allow your government officials to withhold due process rights for an American citizen? Don't you see that you are allowing and permitting the Constitution to be undermined, constantly undermined, in the name of Mr. Trump or President Trump? Do you know what they say about a fish stinking? It stinks from the head down. And if you guys you guys feel it's okay to deny President Trump his due process rights, that means it's okay for your rights to be denied, for family members of yours, for their due process rights to be denied. How foolish can you get? I'm pointing these things out because most of you are not looking and not thinking. You're not thinking straight. You're letting your judgment get clouded, if you had any to begin with. I'm sorry, but I have to be as truthful, as ugly as I am. And I can be ugly. I'm looking ugly right now. So I'm going to give you a lot of truth straight to your face. That's it. Simply, you need to look at this as a denial of due process for a American citizen. Forget the fact that he's president of the United States and that he's Trump. It doesn't matter. He's a U.S. citizen. And if they can do this to the representatives of the U.S. citizenry, then they can do it with you. They can do it with your cousin, your brothers, your children. Don't let it happen, people. I'm talking to you, Democrat. You're a Democrat. Rise and protest this going on. This is not American. It's not right. It is simply not right. And if you're a child of God, even worse, that you would sit around and not change your party affiliation right now. Go get the application and change it. Make a statement. Show your displeasure with the idea that an American citizen, your brother, your sister, your child, can be denied due process for several weeks here until somebody catches on that that's what they're doing. This is appalling. I'm really distressed at this moment. Totally distressed that this American country, this United States of America, this constitutionally founded country and nation where people die, put their blood on the line to form it and to maintain it throughout all these years, is now being undermined because of stupid views of point and people not moving on and moving on with life and getting things fixed. You know, this is a problem. You guys really have a serious problem going on. And I'm glad that I'm not young any longer. That's the only, doing these political broadcasts has made me appreciate my age. And that's sad to say that. Because the prognosis, as I see it, is very dim. And the only thing that comforts me is that I won't be here to see it. Or to see much of it anyway. That's on you. You young. You're young. You think you know everything. Just wait and see. Wait and see. But remember what I said. Because you'll have to remember. There's no way to save all this stuff. So in posterity, and you won't even watch it anyway. An American citizen denied due process rights. And that is what's gone on. And on the basis of that information, whatever information, see, because they're gaining information based on the denial of due process rights, which is the only thing that protects, because you can protect you and me and your children from being accused and found guilty. Because actually what can happen right now is that they can shape the testimony. They're shaping the presentation of information in such a way to make you look guilty. That's what the prosecutors do all the time. When we're in the grand jury, we see these prosecutors. I've seen them working, and not to malign prosecutors. There's a family member as a prosecutor. I'm not trying to malign what they do. They have a job to do. We understand that. But what's going on over here is something akin to what they try to do when there's not enough evidence. And that is they really try to add weight to things and to try to make the jurors feel that there's something there when there's nothing there. And that is the battle in the jury. And yeah, tell me it's not true. That is what's going on every day in this country, all over the country, in every jury room, in every grand jury room. That's what's going on. The DA, he's got his minions, or he comes, and when it's a heavy case, he comes in and does it himself because he don't want his minions to mess up. But their job is to add weight to evidence to make it seem when there isn't, because when evidence is evidence, it's a preponderance of evidence, remember. When there's enough evidence, they don't need to do all that work. But when they don't have enough, they need to fluff up and they need to present things in a certain way in order for you to feel, the jury members to feel, there's something there, and at least to reach to the degree that since you don't know enough to say one way or another, let the court decide, let the jury in the courtroom decide. So that's basically what they're trying to achieve when there's flimsy cases. They just bring they have just so much evidence, and then they make it weighty, try to make it way more heavy appear, and enough to at least that the juror, even though he can't say, well, I can't say that there's nothing there, and I can't say that there is something there, so let the jury decide. That's the basic break off point. If you can get the grand jury to at least pass the ball, because I know that prosecutors know what I'm talking about. You know that. They know what I'm talking about. If you can get the grand jury to pass the ball, pass the hot potato off to the court, then we got it in court. And court will really do our thing. I'm telling you right now that these several weeks of secrecy, okay, is tantamount to a prosecutor trying to fill in, trying to see which way best to present this, which way to twist this, and which way to go here and there, and to try to accommodate what little evidence they have and try to give it as much weight as possible. And this is what they've done. They've had several weeks of it. And that is why, let me see here. I think someone comments. I think somebody commented here about the nature of the way this is being done. And he compared it to having a referee come in the middle of a game. And I think this guy got it right on the nail's head. Let me try to see if I can find that for you. He's right in this article in the Times. I'm sorry, Washington Post. I'm sorry, the Times was the previous broadcast. I'm trying to find it. It's in there. He says it quite bluntly. He says that now, doing this now, the House vote now, Thursday, is like bringing in a referee in the middle of a game. There was no referee before. The other team scored a few points. There was reasons that what they did was wrong. They did fouls here and there. There's no one to control the rules of the game, and so now you want to bring in a referee now that you guys are ahead, 7-0 or 14-0. That's all y'all in sports. I know you Democrats love sport. You know that that's wrong. You know that that's inherently wrong, totally wrong. But yet that's what's going on in your government right now. Your Democratic leaders have engaged in that sort of game. And you love sports. I'm thinking of one person in particular, but he loves sports. He dies for sports. That's wrong. And how can you continue to raise up whatever those leanings and that thought process produces? I'm talking about democratic views, anti-Trump views, and all that. How you can continue in doing that? I mean, it just means that you have a bad perspective. You have something, you're looking at things not with the eyes, if you're Christian, not with God's eyes, not with eyes of justice, what is right, what is fair. You are doing what is called, the Bible calls what you're doing evil. That's what the Bible defines what you're doing. And this is an evil escapade that has been on from the inception. and continues to do so. I'm just, if there's one thing that I'm trying to accomplish here, is to, as a pastor myself, is to alert the flock of Christ to be aware, to not be just puppets for your party and be parrots for their memes and for their statements and for their positions. You need to take a higher plane. You need to be above all of this and just separate yourself from that. You don't want to change your party affiliation to send a message. Because see, when I want to send a message, I send the message. I send it completely. Completely. And I do that because I am a man that stands by what the things that I know are right, the things that is true, proven to be true, that I can verify reasonably. But I'm not going to continue supporting wrong things and wrong actions. And right now, those people doing that, and these are things I'm not talking about Pelosi's life. I don't look at Pelosi. Is she a liar? I'm not looking at Pelosi. Is she an idiot? Or is she smart or anything? That's not my business. That's not has nothing to do with anything. I'm looking at people with what they're supposed to be doing. Their role. Are they doing what they're supposed to do in their office, in their role? That's it. That's it. Their personal life, what they did before. I don't know what Pelosi did. What she did behind closed doors. I don't care. It has nothing to do with anything else. I don't care what the person's done. That's not a point. The person is running for government position, running to help bring some sense to their domains of influence. What does all these other things that are being said have to do with it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the claims that Trump is an idiot is idiotic. In fact, because he has accomplished things in his life that show that you are idiots and he is not. So until you can overcome that, you really don't have a right or standing to say that Trump is an idiot or anything like that. This is total garbage, total garbage. And for Christians, children of God, people who are supposed to represent Christ, the body of Christ, to be repeating such stupidity is it's too much to bear as a minister of the gospel. Really too much to bear. And for any other minister to be doing such from the pulpit, your day as well as everyone else's day of reckoning is coming. That's it. You guys want to fool around with fire, you're going to get burned one day. So that's all I have to say to those other ministers. Do not deter and dissuade and lead astray the flock of Christ. And that is a warning I'm making directly to each of you that claim to be a minister of God. If you don't educate the people, then you are the enemy of the people, of the souls, of God, and an enemy to the cause of Christ. And that's the plain and simple of it, minister. Speak to you, fix it. Stop playing games. And we're talking about eternal perdition here on people that you guys are trusting you, they're depending on you for truth, and you guys are leading them astray. Quit it. See? Quit it. Teach truths. Teach higher things. The church is about higher things above the earth. And for you guys to be positioning people within a party and doing this and that and thinking one way and being anti the president when God placed the president in the position that the Bible teaches, then you're doing the totally evil thing against the scripture and against Torah. Either way, New Testament, Old Testament, you're doing it against what God has said. So that's that. You want to debate me on that? We can do that. I can do that. Invite me. Let's have it. Okay? And I'll do it with love. I'm not there to attack you or anything. But the Bible, I let the Bible speak. I don't need to talk. The Bible says what it says. You want to twist it or say something else, you can do that. But people with a brain can see the twisting. You can see when someone's trying to twist it in a certain manner to show something. So I'm not afraid of debating you or having a discussion or a table and being at a table where we're discussing things. That's I'm not afraid. I will be happy, more than happy to go there and discuss, and then let those with reasoning prevail. Simple as that. Okay, so that's it for today on this impeachment going to impeachment inquiry going to a vote in order to legitimize the inquiry proceedings from then on, because it doesn't legitimize it from previous, which is why the whole process now is really in question. And this is where I'm going to finish it today. What Pelosi has done here, in my opinion, is that she killed this whole process. On Thursday, officially, in my opinion, the process has been killed. Um, it should be killed. Not that it will kill it, but rightfully, if people were people of reason in this country, and by large degree, which they're not, if they were, Thursday would be the end of the power of this impeachment inquiry, because everything done up to now has been illegitimate. And therefore, this whole thing, for a jurist like me to consider in any case, I would throw it out. I would not allow this now to proceed. There is no proceeding now. See that? There's no proceeding. It could have proceeded without this legal move now that Pelosi is doing. May not have resulted in anything, and she didn't want it to result in anything. But right now, what's going to happen is that she poo-pooed this whole thing now, absolutely, by legitimizing something that is wrong to begin with. And so now it is legitimately wrong. So if I was a juror, seeing all this evidence and looking at the procedures up to now, I would throw this out. I would not vote to have this go to court. I would not vote to impeach if I was a sitting senator right now. Even if I was in the House, I would not vote to impeach right now, because reason tells me that everything that has brought this up is wrong from the beginning. This is in what we call due process. For those who don't understand due process, when police come or somebody's investigating you, they have to go through certain procedures. If they don't go through certain procedures, even when they're arresting you and they give you your Miranda rights, you know the process by now. You've seen it in the movies. They have to go. They have to follow a certain order and certain procedures. And if they don't do that, what's the end result? The end result is that your lawyer says, "Hey, judge, they didn't read my client his rights. They made him say that he did it and all that. We can't accept that. They didn't give him his due process." So even when a person confesses, if the person wasn't, because a confession is just that he confesses to it. It doesn't even mean that he actually did it. Some people say they did things just to get out of trouble. Okay, I did it. Get me out. I want to pay a fine, or they'll do it. People have done that historically. And we know that. We know that people confess because they'll get less jail time. And that, I think, is so dishonest, that whole process, because it forces you to admit to something you didn't do. How many innocent people are in jail today because they confessed? You guys have to use your brain already. For goodness sakes, how long we got to be alive on this planet and live in life for you guys to get an education, learn, at least look and see how things are working and how they do things. So on the get go, if this is brought up that there was no due process afforded this American citizen, as I said before, on the face of it, prima facie, this is a legal term. This is garbage. It gets thrown out. And it should get thrown out by the House. It should. The House should reject this and shut this down if they had integrity. But you will see Thursday who has integrity and who doesn't. Thursday will show you and prove to you, my fellow Democrat, because the House is full of Democrats. And on Thursday, I'm going to do a special broadcast, even though that's not the political day, but I will do it on Thursday as these votes come in. And I'm going to just to show how the Democratic mindset is opposing God, against God's laws, and against due process, and against reason. Because a vote for the impeachment inquiry is a vote against due process for every American citizen. That's basically what's at stake Thursday. This is not about Trump's impeachment. I know it is, but the real implication of this Thursday vote goes more towards you and me, our due process. And anyone who ever protested or was against, offended by this police brutality on our black brothers and stuff like that and our children, and you don't like that, that doesn't sit well with you, Thursday, a vote for the impeachment inquiry should not sit well with you if you were honest. If you were a person of integrity, if you were a person of reason, a person who understood what it is to be an American, appreciative of what the Constitution and our Bill of Rights afford us, due process being one of the most important. Thursday's vote will show you which representatives are against the Constitution of the United States, are against the due process in favor of any and every American citizen. Sound like Bernie now, do I? The voice quality, not the statements I'm making. You will see it Thursday. And if you continue as an individual, continue being Democrat, after what you heard, what I said today, and realize, after realizing what I've said, that you need to go do some research and analyze it for yourself. And Thursday comes, and you see the way your elected representatives vote on Thursday, you will be definitely part of this mass evil. And you need to discard any notion that you are supporting the American flag, that you support the Constitution of the United States and the country that has been formed and built up on that. You are not what you think and claim you are. You're another thing. You're a citizen of some other country. Don't not dare call yourself an American. Because this vote Thursday has nothing to do with being with Trump or being a Democrat, being a Republican. This has to do with being an American. These representatives will be voting against the American Constitution, the Bill of Rights, against due process Thursday. And if you agree with that and that's okay with you, then you, sir, or you, young lady, or old lady, whatever you call yourself, young man, young woman, you're not American. Do not claim to be. You're some other country, a country that may not exist as yet. But you're not an American citizen who is a patriot. And I don't mean patriot like the way the GOP uses it, Republicans. I mean patriot in the sense of what a patriot is. Someone who's defending this country and its constitution. You're not it. You're not one. You want some other country. Okay? That's what you want. You're imagining another country, but it isn't this one. It isn't the United States of America. And this is what we're going to see Thursday. I will broadcast Thursday. VPM, the Viral Political Machine, will be broadcasting Thursday. We'll be monitoring this vote in the House. And we will be listing and showing you those who are anti-American. Anti-American, anti-due process. These are the enemies, enemies of the state. But your enemy and mine, these are the enemies, those who vote for the impeachment inquiry to continue. These are the unreasoned. These are the unfair. These are what the Bible refers to as the evil ones. And if you follow and you agree with them, you are evil too. And that's just as simple as can be. And I have the Bible, the Word of God, to back me up for all you children of God. And for the rest of you, just reason. Reason alone is enough. You're unreasoned. And the future of this country, feel sorry for the children. These children I care for, some that I've adopted. I tear for them. But I'm leaving soon. You understand? I've taught what I've taught, and I'm teaching now what I can teach. And when I'm gone, I'm going to be gone. But you guys will be left here with this muck if you allow this to stand. And you shouldn't. What's coming down the road here is going to be a very serious situation in this country. And I can understand why they want to take guns away from people. Yeah, you guys need to. The Democrats, you need to disarm this country. All you liberals out there that want to change this country, you need to disarm the American citizen, the patriots. Because if you don't, you guys are going to have something to deal with. I'm not going to be here to see. I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime, but I'm nearing the end of my journey. I have a few more years to go. Quite a few years more to go, but the way things are heading, I'm going to tell you right now, you guys are going to have a situation here. And don't think that you're ever going to get all the guns. Never assume. Don't think that. Listen, I've seen already enough. I used to live in New York City. When you grow up in a big city, you're blind to the rest of the country. You don't see the rest of the country. When you live in major metropolitan areas, this is your world. This is giant. New York, the 5 boroughs, Long Island, this is the world. Maybe a trip or two to Connecticut, upstate, whatever, New Jersey, this is your world. This is your environment. And, but the rest of the country, it's a different world out there. A lot of places to hide guns. You're going to have a serious problem here. A serious problem. And it's because, unfortunately, our political leaders are not communicating with the public. You're busy playing these games in secret. And you're creating a great distrust in the rest of the country. And I'm afraid it's like already too late. It's already too late. And it's going to go down. These are the ones who are watching, like Nancy Pelosi. Unfortunately, lady, I know you tried your best. I know you tried to tame the dogs. I know that. But it's under your watch. And now this Trump era, this is going to show a major point of demarcation, where the country pivoted. And I hope I'm wrong. These are the things that I am deathly wrong. I just hope to God that I am wrong. But it only takes something, a needle, to fall from heaven to make things go nuts in this country and even in the world. The world is not too much of a better place either. So it's not going to take much, folks. It's not going to take much, and it would be better. It would have been a better thing if we had leaders of character and integrity to lead this country. And that's not the president. The leaders are the Congress. The Congress. These are the guys. You guys vote for these guys every 2 years. You guys have to vote for people with integrity. Americans, that understand what America is all about. Not the people who are going to just vote your way, the way you're thinking. That's what gotten this country into the way it is. It's because you guys vote for your interests. You vote for people gonna, help you and do something for you. And really, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to vote for people who will uphold the Constitution if it hurts you or not. If it benefits you or not, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is what really you're supposed to be voting for. People who will uphold due process. But unfortunately, you guys didn't vote that. You're voting for people who have self-interest at hand, not the country. And what that's going to result in the next couple of years, and I hope it's later than sooner, but it's inevitable, is that you're going to have a falling out here. And it will coincide with falling out around the world. It's going to happen. And it will happen because the U.S., because of its own falling out, will be too weak, too compromised to intervene, to lead the world into a peaceful era, into coming back into order. There'll be no hope for anyone in the planet, and we're going to have a major issue here. And then after that, I'm going into Bible now. The Antichrist will come in to save the day, and then the rest is in the book of Revelation. Just look it up. When you see these things happen, then grab your Bible if you're still allowed to have one, and look up what goes on in Revelation, because that's what you'll be seeing. That's coming. But it can only come if the U.S. is weakened. It's weakened to its knees. It's brought down to its knees. And basically, what can make that occur is for us to have a fallout here. And that's what I'm hoping, against all odds, that won't happen. But Thursday, Pelosi and the House will have their momentous vote. And the rest, as we say, will be history. This is the Joker moment, folks. Thursday's vote is Joker on the staircase. Have you seen Joker? When he's on the staircase in full dress, that's what Thursday is. Take care.